I can't tell you the number of times that I've been in here and I have this like aha moment. And it's kind of faith changing. It's kind of life changing. And it's not usually big things, but
Yeah.
it's just something small. Like when we were talking about me being on the boat and feeling joy and Richard wanting to take a picture and me thinking, that was God.
Yeah.
I didn't know it, but that was the Lord communing with me through His creation. And how cool is that? Welcome to More Than Small Talk. We're Susie Eller,
Jennifer Watson,
and Holly Girth, writers and real life friends. We're inviting you to go deeper, become freer, and feel more connected.
So imagine you have a cup of coffee, a mug of tea, or a green smoothie in your hand,
and we're all hanging out in your favorite place together. Hey, Fourth Jar friends. I know Holly usually opens, but today I'm going to, and I want you to pretend like you're at my house and we're all sitting around the table, and I probably cooked chicken marsala. We'll just say that. And we're eating together and we're talking about the last 4 episodes and how that impacted us or made us have an aha moment. And I want to tell you a little bit about the episodes. And if you haven't listened to them, please go back. We sat with Tara Elness, who talked about sitting with Jesus. And Tara explained how just this daily habit of sitting with Jesus, getting enough manna for the day, led her to places in her faith and also in ministry that she never expected. Then we talked about Jennifer's book, and the topic that came out of that was grieving the life you didn't get. That was a wonderful conversation that was both hard and sweet. And then we talked about the freedom of both and those times that you experience both end. And then lastly, when you don't feel God. So here we all sitting around the table, Holly and Jennifer, and Kara has jumped in at times too. And we're just going to look back at those topics and say, here's a part of that conversation that really impacted me and why.
I mean, just thinking about the whole of it as you're like hitting the highlights of those topics is that I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
That's what kind of like was the thread through all of it. I'm not the only one that has felt like they were grieving the life that they didn't get and life just looked completely different. I'm not the only one who hasn't felt God in some season or moment. Like it made me feel less alone.
Yeah. I think for me, the thread I saw is just looking for God in places where we might not expect Him.
Yeah.
So in a chair, first thing in the morning, in seasons of life where we're disappointed, in a continuum where we say, this is the hard part and this is the good part, and God's in both, or, when I'm feeling Him, when I'm not. And so I think it's just a gentle challenge to me to say, okay, like where might God be in my life right now that I don't expect Him?
Yeah.
But He wants to show up.
When I think about Tara and sitting with Jesus, I think one of the things that really impacted me, because I met Tara years ago when she was at the beginning of wanting to write in ministry, and she had just been steady, just showing up, sitting in that chair with Jesus, sitting in her computer chair at her desk and writing. One of the things that absolutely delighted me was that she had a Def Leppard poster.
Yeah.
You can't see that as the listener, but we did.
Yeah.
And she describes herself as an 80s girl who just is absolutely in love with Jesus.
Yeah.
So number one, that completely put me at ease. I just thought, oh, she is showing up for who she is. But then what I also loved is just this thought of we show up and we sit with Jesus every day. We have no idea where it's going to take us.
Yeah.
And I would say that for Tara, writing a book is not the outcome of that. Was it? Yes.
Yeah.
It was the depth of her daily relationship with Jesus.
Yeah.
That came out of that. And when January 1 came and she had read through the Bible, she had developed a habit that brought her right back to that chair to sit with Jesus again.
Well, and it wasn't this profound, in-depth thing. It was like
Right.
bite-sized things that I feel like helps us to know that whether it's just digesting a scripture and that's all we've got, or a song that makes us think of Jesus and is like shared some sort of truth, that it doesn't have to be big and elaborate to know that he's working through us.
Yeah. Well, and Kara, I think this is kind of fun because Kara's always with us. She's our producer.
Hello, I am with you always. Even to the end of the podcast.
There are so many times that I wish that I had like a video camera on her while we're doing our conversations, because
It's
there's
true.
times she cries.
That's
Yeah.
true.
There's times that she laughs. There's times that I'm sitting and I can see her just taking it in. So
Yeah.
it's such a pleasure that you're sitting up with us in this
Mhm.
roundup as we're
Yeah.
looking back at the last 4 episodes. Were there any moments, because you get to talk about it now,
Yeah.
that you kind of had like a moment?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple that I can think of. One was, with that episode with Tara, where she talks about, I love the phrase, big fat Jesus chair.
I was like, are you saying Jesus is fat? Or the chair is fat?
A chair. Everybody needs a big fat Jesus chair. And I have one in my office. Honestly, I used to be really, really consistent with what we would call a quiet time in Holly and my growing up years. And then I kind of fell off from that. And part of that was just being overwhelmed by the have to and the shoulds and the legalism of it. And I started to kind of push against that or fall away from it. And I've missed it. But it's been overwhelming to me to think about what does that rhythm look like with Jesus and his word. And it's been scary. And the way that she talked about the bite-sized nature of
Yeah.
it. But it feels to me like that episode connected with the one we were talking about when you don't feel God.
Right.
When you-
Yeah. I
when you-
agree.
very much when you show up. And I love her analogy was when you eat a meal, it's not always amazing, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes you have leftover soup from the freezer,
Yes.
but it nourishes you. Sometimes you make a really nice meal. You make the sides and the really yummy Brussels sprouts with the special sauce, and you make the steak or whatever, and you sit down with candlelight. Sometimes it's like that. And I think it's the same with our time with Jesus, but like the goal is always what's going to nourish you, and believing that like if I show up even for a few minutes, it's probably going to nourish you even if you don't think it is. If you don't realize it's happening, it's
Right.
not going to be a waste. And that's
Yeah.
encouraging because again, it's not dependent on me. It's like God's going to do his thing if you show up, even if you don't feel it in that
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
And I always believe that too. My husband and I talk a lot about, he listens to a lot of audiobooks while he works. And he often says like, oh, I'm so discouraged because I can't remember all these things.
Right.
And I always tell him like, it's in there. Like it's
Yeah.
going in there and it's doing something.
Absolutely.
Like I firmly believe that. So
Yeah.
that was encouraging to me to remember, okay, even if it's just a few minutes, there's nourishment. It doesn't always have to look the same. And it's going to do something, even if
Yeah.
you don't realize it's doing it.
Yeah. And it made me think about our listeners,
Mhm.
you know, because listen, we show up and we're doing these podcasts and we're just some, I don't know, ordinary,
Uh-huh.
ordinary women who really love Jesus. And
Yeah.
we've been doing this now for 6+ years. And it just made me wonder, you know, Lord, how will you use these words to encourage some of our listening friends out there? Will there be somebody who finds their, it's really hard for me to say big fat Jesus chair, but to
Yeah.
find their big fat chair where they and Jesus meet.
Yeah.
And how will that really encourage and nourish them? And I got very excited about that.
Mm.
Because it, you know, when we're sitting here in the studio like we are, we don't know where our words are going.
No.
Mm-mm.
And just recently, KLRC is really good to send us messages that they get that encourage us to keep doing what we're doing. And one of them said, hey, I just want you to know that I listen to you all the time, and it feels like I really am sitting with girlfriends.
Mhm.
And so that's always my hope, is that
Yeah.
as we're talking about these things, that not only are they impacting us, it's like my personal counseling session once a month
Yeah.
when we come in and
Yeah.
record, but also that somehow it's encouraging you as well.
Mhm.
Yeah. And we do minimal prep. People might be interested to hear that.
Right.
Yeah.
That we get together usually at a Mexican restaurant. There's usually chips and salsa involved.
Tacos.
All
Always tacos.
essential ingredient.
And we brainstorm topics
Yeah.
and come up with a possible title. And the first question that we ask, the confession question, and that's it.
That's it.
So everything you're hearing is new to us. At the same time, it's new to you.
It really is.
So a lot of times we get surprised by where the conversation goes or what comes up or we're saying things out loud for the first time.
Yeah.
Like in the When You Don't Feel God episode, I said, I don't feel God in church. And I
Yeah.
think that's the first time I've ever actually said that out loud.
Right.
And I
then I
felt
said-
like relief when I
Right.
did. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, this is okay. This
Yes.
is okay. So yeah, I like that part of what we do, that you are really hearing it for the first time.
Yeah.
Oh, we are saying it for the first time.
I can't tell you the number of times that I've been in here and I have this like aha moment. And it's kind of faith changing. It's kind of life changing. And it's not usually big things,
Yeah.
but it's just something small. Like when we were talking about me being on the boat and feeling joy and Richard wanting to take a picture and me thinking, that was God.
Yeah.
I didn't know it, but that was the Lord communing with me through his
Yeah.
creation. And how cool is that?
Yeah.
So that was a moment for me as well.
Yeah.
So when we think about doing these episodes, and this is just a roundup, like I said, looking back and we're sitting around the table, why do you think God uses just even simple moments like this to reveal himself? Because I think that when you said that, like, I don't feel God in church, and you said you felt relief, what work was God doing right there in you?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think it's just like releasing us, because I think that we try so hard to always do the right things. And then in that moment, we're just like, there's nothing but grace. There's nothing but grace. And what I love about our roundups and all of our discussions, whether they're on air or not, is that this is always a safe place
Yeah.
for us to think, feel, and, say these things out loud for the first time, but to be completely loved and to feel less alone in whatever journey or whatever thing we're walking through.
Yeah, I love that we do have this table, and I love that our fourth year friends are sitting around it with us. I threw out chicken marsala because that's what I'm cooking tonight,
Yum.
actually, for
Sounds
friends.
good.
It's really tasty.
Yeah.
So if we could just leave one word of encouragement from the last 4 episodes with our listeners, what would that be?
If you're not feeling God right now, you are not alone, and He hasn't left you. He's still with you. So if you don't feel Him, we get it. We've been there too.
Yeah. And he's always working in unexpected ways and places in our lives.
Yeah. And I think something, Holly, that you said that I really took to heart is that it is okay to grieve the life you didn't have and to celebrate the life you've been given
Yeah.
through that hard season.
Mhm.
I thought that was a beautiful thought. Kara?
I would say, however you are experiencing life or God right now, whatever you're experiencing, that there's probably nothing wrong with you. Like,
Good for you.
there's probably nothing wrong with you. That's a question I would often ask myself. Like, what is wrong with me? You're not broken. You're just human. And God loves humans. Like, he died for them. And
He was one.
yeah, he was one. So
Yes.
he knows what that's like.
Mhm.
And I don't think he condemns us for being human. So
So we want to invite you to go back to the last 4 episodes if you've missed them. Sitting with Jesus, grieving the life you didn't get, the freedom of both and when you don't feel God. And when you do that, if you'll just follow the podcast, More Than Small Talk, and then also we'd love to invite you to join us around the table at our More Than Small Talk Facebook group. You have a seat waiting just for you. And that's it for today's episode. Thanks for going deeper, becoming freer, and connecting with us More Than Small Talk is a part of the KLRC Podcast Network and is produced by Kara Culver. Show notes and resources are available on the More Than Small Talk page on klrc.com. You can also join us in our Facebook group. Subscribe to More Than Small Talk on your favorite app so you won't ever miss an episode.